Hello, everybody, and welcome to part 3 of the Suzanne Morphew case. At this point, we are too far into the story to do a recap, so I suggest you watch parts 1 and 2 if you haven't yet. So today we're going to cover the largest or a large part of the remainder of the preliminary hearing and obviously our comments and opinions on certain parts of the information. Like before, we'll halt the reading of evidence every now and then to give our responses and opinions. Day 2 started with Agent Harris on the stand. Like before, I'm not going to give you a complete rundown of every question and answer, but a synopsis of the highlights. Agent Harris first testifies that Suzanne also used the Find My Phone app to track Barry Morphew's phone. Now, Agent Harris does not say whether Barry was aware of this or not, but made the assumption that Barry sometimes put his phone on airplane mode to avoid this. How did the agent come to this conclusion? Did Barry tell him that, or did he just assume that? This was not asked of him, and I find that rather strange. Agent Harris also testifies that there were about 20 messages between Suzanne and Jeff Libler on April 21st. They first said April 22nd, but Barry's attorney had the date wrong. Agent Harris asked for his file, and then they corrected the date, so it was indeed April 21st. Messages like, I want to be with you, I can only be with you, I love you, I need you. Barry's attorney, Eaton, brings up an argument between Barry and Suzanne on May the 6th, where Barry said, I am not having an affair. I would never cheat on you. During this argument, Suzanne texted Barry saying, I am done. I could care less about what you have been up to for years. We need to figure this out civilly. Another of Barry's messages during this interaction reads, I promise you, you are wrong about all the crazy thoughts about me. Why would I want another? Only a fool would stray from an angel like you. Eaton then asks Agent Harris about what Miles Harvey told investigators. Remember, Miles is or was Macy Morphew's boyfriend. Anyway, Miles told investigators about the Morphew marriage. Miles said Barry was a workaholic and wasn't home enough, but that he never heard about him being abusive. Now, we find this significant as Miles was the first person to tell deputies about trouble in the marriage, and it is obvious that Macy spoke to him about it. I have a feeling that if there were regular physical or other abuse, Macy would have confided in him, but that is just my opinion. Harris continues to consult his binder with results to all the text messages between Suzanne, Barry, and Libler, and from it we learn that on May the 7th at 7:25 a.m., Suzanne messaged Libler about how magical the last few days had been. Suzanne continues to text Libler throughout the day. At 4:43 p.m., she texts Barry telling him that she had been studying all afternoon and has veggie stew for dinner. On May the 8th, Barry went and got pizza at Moonlight Pizza in Salida. While he was out, Suzanne sent Libler a message on LinkedIn saying Barry was gone for a bit. On May the 9th, Suzanne tells Libler she had a fine night, got pizza, looked at homes, and talked about Arizona. Now let's put the brakes on here. On the 6th of May, there was an argument between Barry and Suzanne. But on the 7th, Suzanne texts Libler telling him how magical the last few days had been. It does not make sense. Was she talking about the weather, or was she talking about her conversations with Libler? Or Was her argument with Barry of so little significance to her that she completely discarded it? What is significant from these texts, from the 6th until the 9th, is that there were no red flags, no real red flags, concerning any physical abuse or danger. The argument of the 6th also seemed to have been resolved for the time being, or it was not discussed any further. The defense then wanted to talk about Suzanne's secret bank accounts, but the prosecution objected, saying it was beyond the scope. The judge overruled the objection, and I fully agree with him. We find it strange that the prosecution could even have considered this beyond the scope. Never mind, in April 2020, Suzanne Morphew opened a bank account with Green Dot Bank and Royal Compass Management. Attorney Eaton asked Agent Harris whether he had looked into these bank accounts, and he said he had not. Now, if we weren't convinced before, at this point, we were convinced that it is obvious that the prosecution is not ready for trial, particularly because no body had been found. In the case of a missing person, even if he or she is presumed dead, it is obviously essential that their financial records be looked into with a fine-tooth comb. Disappearing without a trace 101 will tell you not to use your bank cards, etc., so that it cannot be traced, but instead to stash cash. So at this point of the preliminary hearing, Harris could not even tell whether Suzanne had withdrawn any money from these accounts or transferred money to someone else in the days or weeks before her disappearance. So how on earth can he address this in a trial? But I'm sure that between now and then they will do a lot of investigating and will look into this as well. The next few questions to Agent Harris are all about the text between Suzanne, Libler, Barry, and Suzanne's friend Sheila, and just a repeat of what we have already discussed. Agent Harris does, however, confirm that Jeff Libler's alibi for the 9th and 10th of May was confirmed with store receipts, etc. The next witness was FBI agent Johnny Grusing. The first point of discussion or questioning with this witness is all about Barry's whereabouts on May the 9th and the telematics of his truck. He went to the Tailwinds property at around 11 a.m. and went home at 11:30 to eat veggie soup with Suzanne. The telematics on his truck confirms this. He left around 1:30, makes a few phone calls, and checks out a job at Kim Jim's in Salida. Then he returns home at 2:44 p.m. When Barry got home, he found Suzanne sunbathing. Now, a little while before Barry got home at 2:11, Suzanne messaged Libler on LinkedIn and told him to go on WhatsApp and send him a selfie of her sunbathing. Now, Barry's truck did not move from 2:44 until 4:44 that afternoon. At 4:44, his truck door opens and closes. At 9:25 p.m., the gear shift goes from park to reverse and moves backwards in the driveway for 95 feet. At 10:17 p.m., Barry's phone goes off airplane mode and it shows that the phone at least is still at home. At 3:25 a.m. on May the 10th, the truck doors open and close and the phone and truck move towards the area where the bike was found. But we have now already addressed this in the previous video. Barry said that he saw some elk and he made a slight detour. And as I said, tire prints taken in the area where the helmet was found did not belong to Barry. But in this questioning, they do not even address him possibly passing or stopping where the helmet was found, only that he passed the area where the bike was found. At 4:31 a.m., the phone went into airplane mode again, but comes back online as he moves towards Broomfield. At 5:37 a.m., he is heading towards Buena Vista. At around 6 a.m., he texts his mother, wishing her a happy Mother's Day, and a bit later, he also texts Suzanne with "You up?" question mark, "Happy Mother's Day, I love you." At 8:10 a.m., he stopped at a RTD bus stop at Broomfield. His truck doors open and close, and at this point it is alleged that it takes him 2 minutes to throw something away in a bin a few feet from the truck. When Barry arrives at the Holiday Inn Express, he parks on the south side. When he arrives at the hotel, it is said that he threw something else away. Barry says he didn't, and there is no surveillance footage to prove whether he did or he didn't. Barry leaves the Holiday Inn at 9:12 a.m. He goes to the work site but does not park, but instead goes on to McDonald's, and here is the first surveillance camera showing him putting trash down into a trash can. He then went to a car wash and Men's Warehouse. His vehicle remains in the parking lot of Men's Warehouse for a full 40 minutes. And here is also where allegedly the next trash run took place. Barry admits to it. Allegedly, there's also video material of him in the parking lot. Barry then returns to the hotel and is seen with a large notebook and messy papers. He leaves the hotel 20 minutes later, and now the papers are neat and he had changed his shirt. He is now wearing a grey shirt. He then went to the job site, the wall in Broomfield, and did an 11 to 15 minutes worth of work removing blocks from the retaining wall. At 12:06, Barry calls Mallory. At 12:27, Barry is seen on hotel surveillance moving 2 bags to the dumpster. They can more or less see what is in the bags, and it looks like a camo coat and a tree container. He then texts Suzanne and asks her to call him. At 5:15, he receives a call from Mr. Ritter, the husband of the neighbor, whom he told to check for the bike. From 12:42 until 5:55, Barry does not move from the hotel room. He leaves the hotel room and starts transporting hand tools from his truck to the hotel, telling a person at the desk that he is leaving it for his workers who are due to arrive later. The rest of the questions and answers while Agent Grusing is still on the stand concerns more phone calls and text messages between Suzanne, Barry, Libler, Suzanne's friend Sheila, and the Morphew girls. In part 4, we'll discuss this more and highlight the discrepancies in the information it contains. They also talk more about distances and the hot tub, etc., etc. The most important information which comes out in this part is the 19 miles, according to Agent Grusing, which is unaccounted for when Barry went to Broomfield. Nielsen, however, reminds the agent that 18 of those 19 miles could be accounted for when Barry's trip to Salida Stove and Spa on the 9th of May is added to his kilometer reading. An employee from Salida Stove and Spa said that Barry visited on the 9th of May between 4 and 5:30. It is, however, Agent Grusing's opinion or guess that Barry did something to Suzanne when he got home. So let's stop here for a while. Let's hit the brakes. Nielsen then asks Grusing whether he thinks Barry did something to Suzanne when he got home at 2:44 and then went out to have his tub fixed. Grusing says that he thinks Stove and Spar's time was inaccurate. However, looking back at previous evidence, it's made clear that Barry's truck did not move from 2:44 to 4:44. So something is indeed wrong with Agent Grusing's assumption, and he clearly did not take the time to look into it before coming to the preliminary hearing. Again, it is not our place to prove Barry guilty or innocent, but to show you that it is our opinion that the prosecution and their witnesses are not prepared for trial. We have also picked up that times differ on phone calls, but it was explained that two different methods of data recall could have been used, and the systems used for vehicle and cell phone tracking are discussed a little during this preliminary hearing, but as we have no technical knowledge, we are not even going to attempt to explain or understand it. We are, however, trying to put all the available dates and times in a graphic timeline and will post it as soon as it's done. Such a visual aid makes a huge difference when it comes to what is possible and what is not. So for now, we'll leave it here and continue with part 4 later in the week. I just want to welcome my new assistant, my daughter Robin, to this channel, and this will thus be the first time that you hear her voice. In the future, you will hopefully hear more from her. So, Robin, say hi to the people.
Hi, guys.
We'll have her back very soon. Okay, people, take good care of yourselves until we meet on the next video. Bye.